Hi, I'm Madeline Thomas. I am currently a second year undergraduate at Royal Holloway studying psychology. And I also have, throughout the course of the last half a decade, worked on and off with the NHS in participation and youth worker roles.
Lovely. Thank you. And your generation?
And I'm Gen Z.
So there are stereotypes associated with each generation. In your experience, what are the often voiced stereotypes for your generation? And do you feel they're true?
I think that Gen Z are often characterized as being linked to the iPad kid generation and also a lack of work ethic. I often get interpretations of Gen Z as being flimsy, lazy, not wanting to work as hard as their previous predecessors, and how the lack of work experience and structure from possibly COVID on top of that has then also affected how they engage in professional settings. I do think that that's true to some extent, especially ones who haven't been within the work experience environment before, can come into these settings feeling unsure of themselves and unaware of what tasks they have to perform in a much more unstructured environment than ever before. And unless being supervised within or given very specific tasks, it can feel daunting to someone starting out in a new career pathway to understand what their role entails and how best to manage their own time. However, on the flip side, I think the individuals who have been particularly confident in scholastic settings generally do seem to demonstrate fantastic time management skills, fantastic levels of independence, and being particularly driven individuals to get on with their own tasks and to then search for further tasks as they go along through their career journey. I've noticed that through my experience of working with particularly ambitious Gen Z peers, they have impressed me with their generosity to uplift other voices around them and to make sure that the work is more accessible, and that they have also pushed themselves to be able to go into pathways that wouldn't necessarily be opened doors for them by themselves. And I think that's where the belief that young people aren't as motivated to come into these workplace and work environments and be as independent can sometimes falter, because if it's something that particularly matters to our generation or to individuals within our generation, I do believe that we're more likely to search out within our own personal time rather than it being key in our workplace lives ourselves.
It's really interesting as well, because I think the piece you're talking about as well, I just wonder whether it is just a gross generalization to talk about this stuff, whether it's more about the individual characters and the motivations that you've got. It's not about what generation you're from necessarily. It's actually more about your lived experience and the things that really bring you alive. The sense of, okay, what is it that grabs my interest and makes my heart beat faster? What is that thing that really fires me up? And maybe certain workplaces don't provide that, so they are places that you wouldn't necessarily choose to stay for a long period of time. Okay, you get your work experience or whatever, and then you move on. Any thoughts in terms of that? I mean, I don't know what your specific areas of motivation are. Maybe you could list a few so that we can get a feel for any particular areas that would fire you up and get you wanting to work for an organisation longer term rather than shorter term.
I hope, I think would be the best way to start this off, that I have the opportunity to being able to support other people and their growth and the achievements of the future generation. That's where I really want to push my energy towards. The availability to work in these sorts of fields, and how, as a generation, we are in a privileged position to be able to ask and say, I want to be in these positions where I'm making a difference. And I hope that with the education that I am receiving, I recognize that I'm very lucky to go to university. And I'm very lucky to have had the experiences that I've had in public speaking and to be in rooms where change makers are listening. I feel very lucky to have been there, and I want to be able to use my voice and my knowledge and my skill set and the teams around me to be able to help future generations and make life a better way of living for the next children to come. I think that if I am able to leave this life having given something back and to have made a step forward in the direction of progress and equality, that would have been a life worth living.
Lovely. Well, it's been a real privilege. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
As I say, because I think the whole Gen Z thing is something that's going to stick with us, and particularly as the Gen Z grow up into the sort of strategic leadership roles that we're working with on People at Windsor, it's going to shape things more and more, and I think to be part of that conversation is really important.
Thank you so much, and sure, I speak for everyone when I say we're so excited to be able to come back and bring more discussions to the table, learn from everyone.